Karoline Leavitt, his press secretary, the woman who keeps insisting Trump didn't draw this or sign this in 2003, she was 5 years old. She was too young even for Jeffrey Epstein in 2003. But she knows. She knows. They're all... I love that these people are so certain he didn't do this.
With all due respect to former President Obama, he has no idea what he's talking about. The decision to fire Jimmy Kimmel and to cancel his show came from executives at ABC. That has now been reported, and I can assure you it did not come from the White House, and there was no pressure given from the President of the United States. And how do I know that, Kaylee? Because I was with the President of the United States when this news broke in the...
Jimmy Kimmel looked straight into the camera, rolled a clip of the president gushing about his 28-year-old press secretary's lips, and then asked the only question any normal workplace on earth would ask: does the White House have HR? That single question was the entire thesis funny because it landed instantly brutal because it was undeniable the bit did not need slick editing or a trap interview. It needed nothing but Trump saying what he said out loud. A studio that visibly winced in unison and a desk anchor who understands exactly how to turn this is not okay into a laugh that sticks in your chest long after the lights go down.
She'd be in the room, but she's on my list. Karoline Leavitt.
She's become a star. It's that face, it's that brain, it's those lips, the way they move like she's a machine gun. Is she in the room?
She's in the room.
She's a star, and she's great. She's a great person, actually, but she's... I don't think anybody has ever had a better press secretary than Karoline.
If you support Jimmy Kimmel, subscribe to the channel and write one quality you admire most about Jimmy Kimmel, because in this moment we are all Jimmy Kimmel. Now rewind 30 seconds before the laugh. The setup was almost painfully simple. The president mid-giggle on Air Force One praising Karoline Leavitt in language that belongs on a glossy magazine cover, not a government briefing. He promised he would never replace her and marveled at the way her lips move like a machine gun. Kimmel did not oversell it. He let the quote breathe. He paused just long enough for the audience to feel the second-hand embarrassment crawl up their spine, and then he slid the knife in with a dead calm delivery.
Is that right? How's Karoline doing? She doing good?
Hey,
Should Karoline be replaced? No.
that's up to you, sir.
It'll never happen.
Nobody wants to.
I
think she does a great job. Thank you. Do you want to elaborate on the
Okay, and those lips, they move like a machine gun, right?
Do you want to elaborate?
Does the White House have HR? The room cracked open? Because that question exposes the one thing this building never plans for an adult whose job is to say, "Sir, stop." That was the moment the whole operation looked naked on live television. Not because Kimmel uncovered some hidden secret, but because he flattened the spin in 2 clean beats. He made the power imbalance impossible to ignore a 70-something boss objectifying a 20-some subordinate on government time on a government plane. As if dignity were optional and boundaries were something interns learn about on day one.
Actually said our new military will bring back new focus on fitness. I love the idea that Trump is lecturing these guys on fitness. I mean, if that isn't the fondue pot calling the kettle fat, I don't know what is. Listen up, generals. I want to make something very clear. The Pillsbury dope president wants you to do Pilates. The only push-ups Donald Trump does are from the side of an ice cream truck. If you get so fat you start breaking escalators, you are unfit to serve in the military.
You know, I don't really know how much he weighs. I can tell you one thing, that if you would ask me what should you do for fitness, I would just say run around yourself 3 times. You're going to be in great shape. You know? Okay.
Late night becomes lethal when it places nonsense next to normal. Everyone watching instantly knows which side of that split screen they live on. Everyone recognizes the office guy who narrates women's bodies like it is a personality trait. Everyone understands why HR exists now. To understand why Karoline Leavitt was already television famous before Kimmel ever touched this clip, you need to rewind to one earlier moment. June 24, 2024, live on CNN.
Democrat Party's main constituency are made up of Hamas terrorists, illegal aliens, and violent criminals. That is who the Democrat Party is catering to, not the Trump administration and not the White House and not the Republican Party, who is standing up for law-abiding Americans, not just across the country, but around the world. And not
Fantasy is more powerful than reality in this MAGA sphere we live in, which meant it was time for our commander in cheeseburger to weigh in on one of the most pressing issues our military faces today.
Karoline Leavitt, then a campaign spokeswoman, sat down for an interview and chose to torch the network's moderators instead of answering the questions. Casey Hunt cut her off mid-attack and ended the segment live on air. That cutoff ricocheted across morning show's panels, and a full week of "Are we really doing this?" debates. That clip became the origin story. It is why Leavitt turned into a recurring character in the media ecosystem. She was a messenger who treated every hit like a cage match.
And Leavitt, who's sick, she's out of control. And I'm not sure whether she's just demented, ignorant, stone cold liar, or all of the above. But the notion that an official White House spokesperson would say that the Democratic Party consists of terrorists, violent criminals, and undocumented immigrants, this makes no sense. That this is what the American people are getting from the Trump administration in the middle of a shutdown. So their actions continue to speak for themselves, which is why they're on the wrong side of public sentiment.
Question on the second.
Thanks. Yeah.
And he's already figured out where to get the money. Trump today became the first president to sue the New York Times. He's suing the New York Times for $15 billion for defamation. $15 billion. Where does he even come up? These are like numbers my children make up when they're talking about money. I thought he said the New York Times was failing. He thinks they have $15 billion.
Fast forward to 2025. She is now the face of the briefing room. And the most powerful man in the White House cannot stop talking about her face. Kimmel did not invent this storyline. He clarified it. She is not just a messaging machine. She is a 20-some employee being publicly objectified by the boss who hired her. And the country is expected to smile and call it charming. This is where Jimmy Kimmel earns his keep. As an editor more than a comedian, he understands the temptation to dunk on Leavitt herself, to replay her media fights and splice in the CNN cutoff for cheap laughs. He refuses the bait. He aims higher. Haytar gets the rot.
Secretary apparently inadvertently admitted that Tom Homan was in a meeting with undercover FBI agents. She made that admission yesterday when she got carried away in saying something that no one else has said. She claimed Mr. Homan never took the $50,000.
Did the president ask the Justice Department to close the case, and does Homan have to return the $50,000? Well, Mr. Homan never took the $50,000 that you're referring to, so you should get your facts straight, number one. Number two, this was another example of the weaponization of the Biden Department of Justice against one of President Trump's strongest and most vocal supporters in the midst of a presidential campaign. You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters, someone who they knew very well would be taking a government position months later. Mr. Homan did
a workplace culture set by the man at the top. When Kimmel asks about HR, he is not scolding a staffer. He is indicting the manager. That is why the joke cuts across politics. You do not have to hate the administration to know that a president praising a subordinate lips like he is narrating a calendar shoot is not leadership. It is a walking HR training video. This also fits a broader Kimmel pattern in 2025 role. The tapes show the receipts ask one normal world question.
The suit this morning, he wrote, "Today I have the great honor of bringing a $15 billion defamation and libel lawsuit against the New York Times, one of the worst and most degenerate newspapers in the history of our country. The Times has engaged in a decades-long method of lying about your favorite president, me, my family business, the America First movement, MAGA, and our nation as a whole. The New York Times has been allowed to freely lie, smear, and defame me for far too..."
After his surprise suspension in September and rapid reinstatement, Kimmel returned sharper, calmer, and more focused on proof, not applause. He has been quieter than the chaos around him. And that restraint makes the hits land harder. And because Trump and everyone in his orbit cannot resist clapping back, those one-liners keep inflating into two-day news cycles. Exactly what any professional communications shop dreads when the boss has already said something wildly inappropriate.
Has been hard at work coming up with all sorts of nonsense to distract us from the Epstein files, including, I don't know if you saw this, but he made a major announcement. I am ordering my administration to declassify and release all government records related to Amelia Earhart. Her final tip and everything else about her. Thank you for your attention.
So first of all, who told her that Mr. Homans never took the $50,000? Who told her that? Was it Mr. Homans? He has not dared to say that himself, and no one else has dared to say that. But what you saw there, in her frenzied attempt to claim that Tom Homan never took the $50,000, she actually just said, quote, "You had FBI agents going undercover to try and entrap one of the president's top allies and supporters," end quote. So there you have the president's press secretary admitting that Tom Homan was in a meeting with undercover FBI agents. That's the White House confirming at least that fact. That's the White House officially confirming that Tom Homan was in a meeting with undercover FBI.
Important guardrail before rumor mills spin out. Jimmy Kimmel did not kick Karoline Leavitt off his show. She has never been a guest. There was no live confrontation, no walk-off, no lawsuit fantasy. What actually happened was far simpler and far more powerful. A late-night monologue reframed the dynamic for millions by using the president's own words against his brand in media terms that is devastating. A scuffle is just a clip. A frame becomes habit, and once that frame sticks, the boss sounds like a guy at a bar talking about his press secretary.
This is run by a bunch of lefties. He claims they're a mouthpiece for the Democrats. I have to say, I did do today's Wordle, and I don't know if you did, but he might be right. Besides how ridiculous it is, this might be one of the funniest legal documents I've ever seen. It's quite a tongue bath. One page lists Trump's, quote, hundreds of history-making media appearances, including WrestleMania 5, All My Children, Ghost Can't Do It, 2 Weeks Notice, Days of Our Lives, Miss USA, Miss Universe, The Ali G Show,
House leadership swings and labels love it rhetoric sick or demented. The story always snaps back to the boss who rewards it. Karoline fires back and the culture war lights up again, and once more the gravity pulls everything to the center. The boss who likes his press secretary most when she reads like a tabloid character. Every orbit returns home. Here's your first nudge if you have a favorite Kimmel line from this week. HR weirdest thing I've ever seen. Or the follow-up about Air Force One becoming Mouth Force One. Drop it in the comments so we can stitch the tightest cold open possible.
Try to put things in perspective. Last time my 8-year-old Billy were laying in bed, and he told me that in 5 billion years, we're all going to die. The human race is going to be gone because the earth is going to be consumed by the sun. And I was like, what? And I asked Alexa, I said, is that true? And she said, yeah, it is true. And you know what? Maybe we shouldn't worry so much, right, Guillermo? Yes, yeah. Maybe that's the moral to the story. Let's just be thankful that we are in the strong, capable, darkly bruised baby hands of the orangutan in the Oval Office.
Hit subscribe if you want the final cut the second it drops. Part of why this joke detonated in the room is that Kimmel audience understands office life. They recognize uncomfortable laughter. They know why never replace her is not praise. When it comes from the most powerful boss on earth talking about the youngest face on senior staff, strip away the titles and translate it. My subordinate's looks are part of her value to me, and I will keep her because of that. This is not mentorship. This is a billboard that screams report to HR.
Seem to be garbage bags being thrown out of the window of the Lincoln bedroom. That's the White House. The official response from the White House said it was maintenance work being done while Trump was off on one of his many golf weekends. But Trump is even contradicting his own White House now.
There's a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residence upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out.
It also forces an even more uncomfortable question on the White House. What exactly is Karoline Leavitt's job supposed to be in the clean version? A press secretary defense policy explains facts, absorbs heat, and lets the president pretend he is above the mess in this version. she is a prop in the president's running commentary about himself. The joke lands because it is not really a joke. You cannot fight for credibility at the podium in the afternoon if your boss turns you into a meme before lunch. Jimmy Kimmel audience does not need a lecture. They need the pause button and he hits.